Hello, everybody, and welcome to Example of Play, the home for strategy, tactics, and more. If you haven't subscribed already, now's your chance. Today, I'm very excited to start a new tutorial series. This is going to be for Sea Power, Naval Combat in the Missile Age. This is a new naval combat simulation strategy game coming from Microprose. A big name going back in the old days, and now they're coming back with a lot of strong simulations and strategy titles lately. It's good stuff. For this video, it's going to be kind of a part one crash course. The game does come with tutorials. There's videos by Stealth, I think his name is, who has some very thorough talks through a lot of details. Those videos, I'm going to assume you watch those. I'm not going to go over every detail, but I'm going to try to take the approach of learning by doing and playing through some missions to learn different aspects of the game one video at a time. So this first video, we're going to jump into, I've played around with a few scenarios. This one is really simple. It gets real into the action real quick. Dong Hoi, if I said that right, I don't know. This is a scenario where we are going to be taking a few US Navy ships during Vietnam, and we are going to attack some mostly ground-based targets. It's real simple. It gets you into the action really quick. And so we're going to use it as our example to just go over some of the basics of the game, get you out there so that you're playing, you're shooting stuff down, and playing the game. All right, now as soon as you start the mission, I'm going to hit pause. So hit space to pause the game, and that gives just a couple minutes to talk over a few things before the action kicks off. There is a tutorial video with the game that explains all this in great detail and covers everything. I'm going to just hit on some stuff as we go to kind of keep it moving along, because the goal of this video is to get you in the action. So just around the horn real quick, up here is our formation manager. We can see all the ships we have. This first is the Oklahoma City action group, so those ships are in a formation together, and then the Starret is by itself, so that's what's going on there. You can give some orders from here. You can right click to do things with the ships from here, and then you can double click on them to select them and jump the camera around. Down here is the tactical display. This is a mini map. Basically, you can control things from here. You can left click on your blue icons. Once the enemies pop up, we'll see those. You can order your ships to attack from here. You can do a lot from here, but it is very cluttered. Especially once things get going, there's a lot in a small space. You can hit tab to switch to this map. If you've ever played Command Modern Operations or anything like that, this will look real similar to you, especially once we start getting different tracks on here. Tracks being like contacts of different kinds. Whereas like Command Modern Operations, you're playing the whole game as this screen, looking at little icons like this, and it's in great detail. It has limitless playability, and units, like everything you can imagine is in that game. But the nice thing about Sea Power is you can hit tab and go back to a lovely 3D view where you can actually see all the action happening, which for fun purposes can't be beat. You can also use these tools down here to like measure, to draw rings around things, so you kind of see like the range of different weapons, which we'll get to that in a little bit. And then along the bottom here, whatever ship you have selected, you're going to see details like how fast it's going, what direction, what it's doing. And then these are your weapons and defenses, where you can control them from here. You can click on them and then target something to have your ship use its weapon. And then over here in the bottom right, we can choose to turn on our radars of different types, or be on MCON and mission control to be stealthier. But in this case, we're very close to the shore, so they probably see us here pretty soon, regardless of what we do. And then we have weapons tight, so you can set it to weapons free. Your ship will just freely start firing. The AI will target whatever it sees as hostile. It'll start fighting. Versus weapons tight, you're kind of telling it what you want it to target. And then weapons hold, where it's not firing. And then these last few icons, we can toggle the formation manager, the map, and then the event log is not on by default, but it's pretty handy. It's going to list out things as they happen. So if we hear something over the radio and we didn't catch what it was, we can see it here and jump back to it. So we'll turn that on. And then if you select a ship that has aircraft, in this scenario, the Starret is the only one. It has a helicopter on it. which we will use towards the end just so you can see how that works. But if you had like an aircraft carrier, you'd have all kinds of stuff here, where this one, nice and simple, one helicopter that we'll play with at some point. All right, so that covers the very basics. Now the ships already have some orders. They're already cruising along here, so we'll unpause and see what happens.
Multiple ground contacts detected. Multiple hostile ground surface contacts detected.
All right, so I'm gonna pause again. Like I said, this scenario, you start off right in the middle of things. So if you want to get into quick action, this is a great scenario. So after a couple seconds, we pick up that there's a lot going on. We'll switch, as you can see, it gets pretty cluttered down here. So we'll switch to the full map. We can see several new contacts have popped up. They call it tracks in the parlance of naval combat here. So we can see, and these different shapes mean different things. I'm not gonna pretend that I know them all for sure, but you can kind of figure out some of them as you go. Blue text is our guys, green text is civilians, red text is hostile, and then yellow is kind of unknown, that there's something there, we don't know what it is. So real quick, we will kind of jump through them. Red, of course, and it's out here, we don't like that. It says P5, or PT, these are some PT boats that we've spotted. If we click on it, we can select it, and then if you hit tab, you can actually go back and look at the enemy ship and see, yeah, this is some kind of PT boat. It's got some torpedo tubes on it that they're getting ready to try to charge at one of our ships and attack it. So we don't like that. We'll talk about how to attack them in just a second. Over here, green, these are some sampans. If we look at them, they are, yeah, just some little civilian fishing boats, not any kind of threat to us. But they do show up on the radar, so they're one more thing to that's just you're gonna see out there on the radar, and could be uncertainties at some points. And then over here on the land, we can see this red is a fuel depot, pretty easy to spot that. And then the yellow is telling us that there's something there, but we don't know exactly what. So these big yellow ellipses, those are kind of the area of uncertainty that we know that there's something there. It's somewhere inside that ellipse. We don't know exactly where it is. And then that shape can be different depending on your radar, depending on what's out there, or if you have multiple information sources, you might be able to kind of narrow it down. But for our purposes right now, we're just seeing that there's something there. And then it's kind of hard to see this yellow text. It says like EM emission, so there's probably some kind of radar, targeting radar, or something over there that we're detecting. If we want to get a better picture of it, we can turn on our active radar. Right now we're seeing all of this passively, and so I'll probably do one of the tutorial videos the game comes with goes into great detail on the electronics and stealth and detection and all of that, so I'm not gonna try to cover all that here. But the basic version is you turn on your active radars, you're gonna see more, but you're also gonna be more visible to the enemy, so it's kind of a trade-off. In this case, the enemy is already here, they're coming at us, so maybe we should turn on our radars, because at least this one, they definitely know where it is already. So one way we can turn on the radar, we can right click up here to get this menu. You can right click on the ship to get the menu. You can come down here. We can go ahead. MCON is we're not transmitting anything right now, but we might switch. We're going to turn on our surface radar. And if we're turning that on, we as well turn on our air search radar also. And then we unpause and see if it sees anything different after turning that on for a few seconds. So far, no. All right, so, and then it probably takes I don't know the exact realism of it. It probably takes a few seconds for it to warm up and start seeing things. But you've heard me talking enough. You want to know how we're going to blow some stuff up. So you can control your ship from the big map. You can control them from the little map, and you could just change weapons type to weapons free, and they would start shooting at hostile targets in range. But just for our purposes, we'll manually target these guys, so we can just right click on them from here. You see the little crosshair pops up.
Engage track 7008, salvo fire.
And just like that, they're going to turn that cannon and start firing. And since it's realistic and everything, we can see the shells flying off into an arc to hit some target that's barely visible. You can jump over to the PT boat's point of view, see the rounds coming in. You can hit the F keys to change your view. So F1 focuses on a unit. F2 is like a free camera. You can fly around. F3 is kind of a little cinematic view of the unit passing by. Alright, so we got a hit. Not a catastrophic one, but it did get hit, so we can expect it to maybe slow down. Yeah, so they're slowing down. We'll switch targets to the other one. Now one of our other guns has got it in its arc, so they're both firing. And then there's cruising along here in peace, and some rounds are going to start coming in any second. Kind of taking a few rounds for them to find the range and get zeroed in. You can see they're being a little bit evasive, trying to dodge. So while that's going on, we'll jump back over here and see that no targets, new targets yet. So we'll turn on our radars over here too. Oh, and maybe just in time. Okay. So we turned on our radars. Looks like just in time. We turned our radar on just as this was picked up visually too, but we got a V and an R, means visual and radar. These are still just on radar, but if we maybe had turned our radars on earlier, we might have seen these quicker. But these yellow, it's some kind of flying target. If we click on it, we can't see it yet because we don't have we haven't identified it. We just know there's something out there. We'll let it go a few more seconds. Oh. Alright, so first we can probably assume these are two. We got a MiG-17 here, and now we can actually click on it and see this MiG-17 is cruising in at our ships. We don't like that for sure. Kind of a spoiler alert, but for this scenario, this initial air attack is the most dangerous part of the scenario because it can absolutely wreck your fleet right off the bat. So we need to engage it ASAP. We're going to switch to weapons free just to let our guys try to defend themselves. Now these destroyers, I don't think they actually have very effective, they don't have any kind of effective anti-aircraft missile. They do have guns, but I've never seen the guns actually shoot anything down. If we right click on them, we look at this unit reference card, we can see that they have this, but that's an anti-submarine rocket. And then they have guns, but those aren't going to be, they can shoot at the aircraft, but like I said, pretty rare that they score a hit. However, our two cruisers, they do have some anti-aircraft missiles. So that's going to be great. Hopefully they're going to start firing. I'm going to give, they should start firing automatically with weapons free, but we're going to have them manually target.
Engage track 701.
Just to get their focus where it needs to be.
701. Greyhound away.
Alright, so they immediately fire.
7003. Multiple ground contacts detected. Multiple hostile ground contacts detected.
We switch to this MiG, we can actually see as it flies in, it's getting all kinds of fire coming at it. Nothing's hitting. It's just too fast. But hopefully all that fire maybe shakes them up a little bit.
7008. Engaging track. Birds away, track.
Alright, so now they fire a missile.
1, 2.
Now looking here, now these ships have multiple weapons. They can be attacking. Since we said it's weapons free, they're going to start attacking things without any orders. So these M is for missile. These missiles are on their way to hit some surface or ground land targets over here, which we'll get to those. We'll get back to those. But first, our main threat is these aircraft. This missile is on its way to one of those MiGs. Actually, when it goes in the clouds, you can't see anything.
Track 7011.
Now the question is, will that missile get there in time? Doesn't look like it. Alright, bombs away right there. Our ship's maneuvering evasively, but it is going to be tough. Ooh. Alright, direct hit. So one of our ships is hit. That looked like a pretty dead-on hit. This one's coming in, targeting it as well.
Hit track 7. Contact faded.
I didn't see the bombs, but it might have dropped some. Yep. Alright, so the Higbee taking 2 hits. Looking bad. Things looking bad for them. Hopefully we'll get some revenge here. Got a missile on its way in. Does it have a target? Gonna intercept.
Birds away. Track 701.
Missed. Now this MiG is running for it. Hopefully we can get at least this one shot down. Looks like we hit one.
Hit track 7007.
Get an intercept.
Contact
Nope.
detected.
Miss.
Contact faded. Track.
Come on, let's get a kill.
Birds away. Track 7013. Kill track.
Nice. Alright, so it wasn't a direct hit, but we hit him enough. You can even see the pilot eject. I love this game. It has so many little details. So yeah, the missile hits it, comes apart, wing blown off, but we actually see the pilot eject.
7013 is history.
Alright, so it looks like we got... We'll pause here. Alright, so not great. The Higbee is pretty badly hit. We'll take a look at it here in a second, but we did shoot down all 3 MiGs. So that is good. And then we got some missiles. We'll kind of reassess the situation here. So we took out the 3 MiGs. The Higbee took some bombs. Not much we could do about that. I've played the scenario a few times, and I've yet to get through that initial attack without losing at least one of those destroyers, if not 2. But we did manage to shoot down, so those MiGs are out of the picture. We can see here we got some missiles on their way to the land targets over here. Since we set it weapons free, they started firing. What are they shooting at? Well, they're targeting the fuel depot. Looks like we've got at least a couple hits. And then this radar. So there are some anti-aircraft guns here. There are some other guns that we might come across later. But kind of the important thing to know is that they are working off radar. And so if we can take out these radar sites, the guns will still function, but they're going to be way less effective without their radar station guiding their fire at our ships. So, and then that is what we're actually seeing on the emission. That's this circle is because they have active radars here. So there's another one here, and then we can guess there's another one there, and we can guess that any radar site has got some kind of weapons attached to it. In this kind of case, where it's these small radar stations, they're directing fire for either anti-aircraft or anti-ship weapons out there. So if we can take that out, it's like taking out the eyes, and that's going to make our job easier. This one's already got a couple missiles heading at it. We'll unpause, follow one in, see if it hits. And now while that's flying in, we can look here too and see that, we got a couple more unknown contacts out there. And we might want to go investigate those here in a second. So it's handy to have this little map. You can kind of enjoy the visuals and keep an eye on the situation down here at the same time. We can see there is some fire coming out of there. We might not be able to see the guns, but we can see that they're firing. Ooh, that's a pretty bad miss right there.
7007.
But our next one hit a little closer. Don't always have to have a direct hit to destroy it, but it looks like it's still active.
Flooding beyond control. Abandoning ship.
Alright, so the Higbee is sinking. We can see the lifeboats around it, so there are survivors at least. Not much we could do about that. Those MiGs came in real fast off the land, so we just couldn't see them until it was too late to counter them very well.
Contact faded. Track.
These PT boats, they're both still out there, but they're basically destroyed.
Away. Track 7015.
Okay, now I don't want this video to go on too long, and I can kind of spoiler alert that there are a few more things here, but most of it is bombarding these land targets and taking them all out. However, I do want to demonstrate one more thing just so you understand it for this quick start video here, and that is how to launch aircraft. So if we go back to the Starret, it does have a aircraft aboard, the SH-2F Sea Sprite, so an anti-submarine helicopter. It does have a couple anti-submarine torpedoes it can launch, and it can drop buoys. We're not really worried about submarines in this scenario, but we could use the helicopter as some extra eyes because we are seeing some kind of emissions out here and we don't know what they are, and we have our radar on but we still can't see what they are. So just as a demonstration, we'll send our helicopter out there to take a look. So if we have the Starret selected, we go on here, the flight deck. We can, if it was like an aircraft carrier, there'd be all kinds of stuff to select here, but we just have the one helicopter. It only has its one loadout, basically, which is anti-submarine warfare. We can send it up empty or just with ferry, so like if we're just going to fly a long ways with some drop tanks, but we'll just leave it on the default. There's just one of them, and we'll tell it to launch. It'll take it a minute to be available. And we don't, actually it would actually be sitting there, but we don't see it just yet. But after a second, it's going to pop up, and then we'll send it out to get some eyes on whatever's out there. And then in the meantime, you can see some more missiles on their way. If we were playing, right now I'm just kind of demonstrating stuff for you, but of course, you would want to be focusing your fire on, you can't just leave it weapons free, let your ships just blast away, but probably targeting priority, those fuel depots, they're not going anywhere. The guns are firing at us, but if we can take out those radars, it'll make them less effective. So our priority would be to take out those radar sites, then take out the guns if we can, and then save the fuel depot for last, because that's our easiest target. One thing I mentioned earlier is how to draw on here like a range, because say our ship, it has these big cannons on it. They're not firing though because they're not in range yet. If we look at the unit reference, we can see we can look down here too. So these 152, the Mark 16 big gun, we can click that little blue icon and see it has a range 12.7 nautical miles. So if we come back here, we can select the little circle tools I like for this, and if you start on the ship, it'll stick to the ship, and we can draw that out to 12. We'll do exactly 12.7 nautical miles, and then that circle will travel with the ship, so we can see that they need to go a little further before those targets are in range of the guns. Now, of course, if we get in close where we can fire guns, we got plenty of ammo. We can definitely take out those fuel depots with our big guns, but we're also going to be closer to all those cannons that are firing at us. And the briefing said to prepare for coastal batteries as well. So that might be what's this one up here. We haven't seen what it is yet. So these might be anti-aircraft sites, and that one might be a coastal battery. But if we take out those radars first, then they're a lot less effective. Now let's go back over here, and we see our Sea Sprite is now on the menu up here. It's available, ready to go. So we will order it to fly out.
Turn to course 274.
We're going to send it out to try to get a visual on whatever is out there. And we'll speed things up just a little bit.
Hit track 7015. Track contact faded.
Now they're heading out there.
Hit track
We can tell them to fly higher if we want to, or stay low.
Contact faded. Track. Roger. Contact faded.
No, yeah, thought I'd given him an order. I guess not. So yeah, now he's, or maybe it wasn't far enough out. That's why using the big map is best for giving orders, so you're not confusing yourself what you're doing down here. Now they're on their way, and as we can see, the helicopter traveling much faster than the ship. It's flying real low right now, but we could have it fly higher if we wanted to.
Roger. Go to altitude 1.
Of course, that has tactical considerations, but right now we're using it as a scout, so why not? We'll see if they can see anything as they get closer to whatever is out here. And then they have their own surface search radar. We could turn that on. And see now, as soon as we turn that on, we'll pause here. Yeah, so as soon as we turned on, we sent the helicopter up to 1,000 feet and turned on its surface search radar, and all of a sudden we see all these contacts, tons of contacts out here that we couldn't see before. So that's a big part of this modern naval combat. If you played any other games along this genre, you know that already, but that, yeah, your ships have radars, but they're on the ship, that's on ocean level, whereas you send an aircraft up and it can see a lot further, but also it's vulnerable. The enemy can see it flying around. So if they had like an aircraft, like a SAM launcher over here, they could probably shoot this helicopter down. But apparently they don't, so we're not worried about it right now. But just sending him up, turning on his radar, revealed to us that there's a bunch of targets out here. We don't know what they are. Looks says meager radar echo, so they're probably not big things, but they are out there. Okay, now we've classified these. We can see that these are some more PT boats. So we'll want to deal with those. So we set the Starret back to weapons free. It immediately launches some big missiles. Why mess around with just the guns? And so now this is a great example of the interplay between radar, the different types of units, the different types of weapons, that by combining them, nice. By using our little helicopter that by itself is not going to do a whole lot of damage to anything, we're able to send it up and identify those targets quicker and engage them from much further range than if we'd waited for the ship to get closer and potentially put itself at risk. Now we see there's all these other things out here. Do we think those might be more PT boats? We can tell our helicopter to keep going out there, and we'll speed it up a little bit. And the game won't let you speed up too much depending on what's going on. It'll only let us go up to like 3 times speed right now. And we're continuing to pummel the ground targets over here.
Hit track 7009. Contact faded. Track 703.
Now our helicopter is taking some anti-aircraft fire. It's getting a little too close to the shore. We'll turn it away a little. But we can see these are just sampans, so we're not worried about them. And it could be that these are, yeah, those are sampans.
Is classified. Neutral merchant. Track 70. Roger. Turn 330. Track 70.
More. So we can probably assume that last one is okay. So we confirm. All right. So I'm gonna pause there. So I thought that was a really great example of seeing how you can, even in a scenario where, even if we don't think that there's any kind of submarine threat, we can still send our anti-submarine helicopter up as a scout. We can send it out. It can turn on its air search radar, which I will say makes it very vulnerable because the enemy will be able to spot it really easily. So think about that before you do it. But in this case, it worked out well for us. We sent it up, had it turned on its radar. It was able to go identify that these were hostile targets, but that these are not, and that there are 8-10 targets, potential targets out here in the water that we couldn't see until we sent our helicopter up. So this modern naval combat, it's as much about information as it is about the actual combat. If you see them before they see you, you can start fighting faster because most of the combat is not up close. Most of it is at long range. Or like with that aircraft attack at the beginning, we didn't pick up those aircraft, even though they were just dropping, looked like dummy bombs maybe. They weren't using fancy rockets or anything. They were just dropping bombs, and because they came in low and fast from the land and we didn't have our air search radars on, we didn't see them coming. And so they tagged one of our ships, and there wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. We were able to shoot them down, but because they were so close so fast that they got one of our ships. So In a different scenario where you're further out, being able to use the tools you have to collect information and know where the enemy is and what's there, that's kind of the key to the game. So I'll stop this tutorial here. I don't want it to go on too long. My goal is not to cover everything in one video. It's to kind of go through some different scenarios and demonstrate different parts of the game. So hopefully this was at least enough to let you play, move your ships around, get into some combat, know kind of the basic controls and how to get busy shooting stuff, finding targets, all that. And then also use aircraft and a little bit of some strategy as far as target prioritization, information collection, that kind of stuff. So subscribe, stay tuned for more. I hope this was useful for you, and thanks for watching. Bye.